entrepreneurship feels like being naked. And it truly does. When you're a creative, an artist, or an entrepreneur, you're basically putting stuff that you created out there. And it just feels like, it's just there. And it is hard.
Welcome to Empowermente, the headquarters of personal empowerment.
Hola chicos, ¿cómo están? Ya regresamos a nuestro nuevo episodio de Empowermente. Welcome, welcome. I'm very excited about today's topic, which is lessons on entrepreneurship that I've learned in my first year. And it also goes hand in hand what I wish I knew as I was starting my entrepreneurship journey. So buckle up because there's going to be a lot of learnings today. And I had pretty much like 25 lessons that I want to talk about, but I divided it into different sections so that it's a little bit easier to digest. And I'm new podcasting and I do have skills with public speaking, but pardon me if this is a little bit all over the place. I just want it to be valuable to you. So feel free to give me feedback if it's not. So it is in 6 different sections. 1, financial realities. 2, personal development and mindset. 3, business structure and strategy. 4, marketing and outreach. 5, time management and tools. And 6, continuous learning and networking. So let's jump right in to financial realities. The first things first, I already made a video about it, which is when you start a business, you need to have your ABCs on speed dial at all times. This is a learning of some wise words from my mentor, Gina Moreno, and it is attorney, bank, and CPA. You need to have a team that is on your side when it comes to your ideas and anything that has to do with contracts and the law. So that's why you need an attorney. B is bank. Even if you have a big bank, you want to be able to form a relationship with them. And C is CPA, which is the person who does your accounting. And even if you're just starting out, this is something that you want to invest in. For attorneys, I do pay a service where these lawyers revise my contracts. But honestly, I think I'm going to look into a new lawyer here in Phoenix or just somebody that I can see. So I'm looking specifically for somebody who can help me in the content creation side and just the different businesses that I have. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. And B, I've been going into the bank to be able to make that relationship because when they have special offers and they know about your business, they will be able to offer these to you. And see, your accountant not only is the person who does your QuickBooks, but the person who understands new laws that have come into place to help you and benefit you financially. And that person should be a tax strategist to you. When you start a business, you should really think backwards into like taxes first and then everything else. And speaking about taxes, I think it is important for you to keep track of the expenses that you're having in your business and just the organization overall. I think I didn't take this very seriously, and I think it becomes very difficult and it can jeopardize you financially. So definitely use QuickBooks and have a very intentional way about setting up your bank accounts, credit cards, and just so that it is systemized so that you don't have to do as much work. And so that's the first thing in terms of financial realities. And moving on to another thing that I learned in terms of finances is that it's really hard, at least it was for me, getting accustomed to not getting paid every 2 weeks. It is something that will bring up your scarcity mindset and that you have to learn to mitigate, and you can't let that stop you from continuing in your business. Another thing about finances is that you are getting paid for what it depends what business you're in, but you're getting paid for the value that you're offering rather than your time. So to start, you need to understand what is your unique value proposition? What is the thing that's going to set you apart from other people that they can hire? And really understand that and hone in that. And I feel like as women and as Latinas, we have a hard time sometimes really understanding and promoting the value that we have to bring. But don't be scared, baby girl. Whatever it is that you have to offer is completely worth it. And there are people who are going to be willing to pay for it if you have the quality, effort, and work ethic to back it up. Oh my God. So my camera died and I had to take a little break. The second thing is personal development and mindset. Y'all, there are so many entrepreneurs that are all about mindset, and I can understand why, because it all has to do with your mindset. And if I had to talk to me a year ago, I would say that my inner critic is going to be loud. And especially if you're an entrepreneur. I had a conversation with my good friend, Gabby Cervantes, who also an entrepreneur. And she was saying that basically entrepreneurship feels like being naked. And it truly does. When you're a creative, an artist, or an entrepreneur, you're basically putting stuff that you created out there. And it just feels like, it's just there. And it is hard. And you have to face your personal hurdle, which I talked about in episode 2. And I would say that there's no way to separate your business and your personal life. It all kind of flows together. So your personal bad habits will also affect your business. And when you have personal triggers, it will also affect your business. If you're in a journey of business and entrepreneurship, your soul is also going with you because maybe what you're creating is what you were supposed to create in this lifetime. Another thing is to be intentional about rest rather than setting a time where I want to rest, like, oh, every 10 days I need to have a full day of not doing anything, which is around the time that I do. But something that I've learned is to flow with whatever I'm doing and truly feel it. And if I'm not feeling it, then it's time to rest. One thing that I wish I did more and I'm still learning is to talk to people who have done it before. Whatever it is you're doing, chances are that somebody already made some version of what you're doing, or maybe it's in a different industry, or maybe it's a different target audience. Talk to those people and connect with those people and make them your friends so that you can get ideas and feel much more comfortable in getting feedback from them. So that's personal development and mindset. The third thing, and I'm not going super into detail into each of these because I feel like each one of them could be an episode. This one is actually part of the mindset one, but it's people don't understand what you have to bring to the table, and that's okay. You have to show or explain what you bring to the table. People cannot read your mind. People don't know what you've done. So you need to really assert yourself and ask for that value. Something interesting also is that people who pay, I mean, at least in the coaching and self-help industry, I've noticed that people even that pay for your service, there's still going to be some resistance if you're working with energy transformation or helping people. There's always going to be a little bit of resistance. So I thought that was something interesting. It is your job still to win them over and assure them of their investment. So I'm constricting myself just a little bit, but as always, if you have anything that you want me to expand on or have questions, you can always feel free to message me, DM me on Instagram at empowermente.co. Okay, let's move on. The next thing is business structure and strategy. So we cover financial realities, personal development and mindset, and I'm going into business structure and strategy. What we have remaining is marketing and outreach, time management and tools, and continuous learning. Okay, so one thing that you will not regret is to thoroughly look at business structure. There's types of structures that you can do, like LLC, sole corporation, C corp. Later, you can try to get a B corp, a nonprofit, and I think earlier last year I was trying to form a nonprofit for mental health. And after talking to many people, it just didn't make sense for me to actually pursue this. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because imagine like the time investment of actually doing it and realizing that's not what I wanted to do. So really invest your time in understanding what the structure of your business is going to be. And although I consider myself a social entrepreneur and a person who does things for the greater, I didn't file for a nonprofit with Generation Binera, for example. So you don't have to necessarily do a nonprofit if you want to do good. There's advantages and disadvantages for each one. For me personally, I didn't do a nonprofit because it was going to require a lot of time for documentation. And I just didn't want to invest that at the same time as I was doing other things. Another thing about business structure outside of the legal one is there is a difference between freelancing and business owning. And one of the things is that when you're freelancing, more of like the jobs and gigs that you get. And for the business, it's usually you having like a package and a package deal that you're selling. And they have a lot of things that they have in common and interact with each other. But I think a big difference between those is the mindset. And you can have a business mindset as you're freelancing, and it will, I think, be a lot more beneficial. Another thing that I wish that I knew is to hire people fast. I used to think that hiring was something that was huge and intimidating, which maybe it is, but you don't have to hire people full time and offer them benefits. Like you can hire people from Upwork or from some online site to do something specific for you, and that's it. Or you can hire people to work with you on a weekly basis, but it doesn't necessarily have to be full time. It can be whatever arrangement you decide. You just have to make sure that you pay them, that you have your contract in place, and that you agree to the amount that you're going to be paying, and also that you give them a 1099 at the end of the year. So yeah, but dude, hire fast and stop investing your time in things that are not going to bring value or that you don't enjoy. Something that I often talk about is that if you're a multi-passionate person who either owns a lot of businesses or does a lot of things, it's going to take some fucking time. It's not going to go overnight, and that's okay. It makes you mentally stronger. At least that's what I like to say. Another thing is that I like to position myself in a way where I attract all the right opportunities instead of having to pitch myself. There was a course that I took on public speaking, and it heavily involved pitching. And I'm okay with hiring somebody else to do it, but it is not something that I particularly enjoy, like building campaigns in order to get these speaking engagements with the audience that I want. So I changed my strategy, and I think it's really cool to be able to attract opportunities rather than you investing the time in pitching yourself, which there's nothing wrong with it, but I think it's harder. One thing that I learned the hard way is just not to jump at every opportunity. Like, don't jump at the opportunity to work with every person or every client unless it's aligned with what your ideal client is. And that's why you have very clear who is your persona and who you're serving and what is it exactly that you're going to help them with. Because if you don't establish that in the beginning, the scope just will keep growing and it'll stretch you in ways that you don't want to be stretched because you're going to be doing a lot more for less money. Another thing that I haven't been great at is finding a community of mentors. I have a mentor, but I haven't talked to her in a few weeks. I should probably check on her. But since I'm doing different things, I've had trouble with it. But I think you either one, make relationships so you find a mentor, two, invest the time and you learn all the tips and tricks that are required to own a business, or three, you pay somebody else to give you that knowledge through a course or through coaching. So it's up to you. One thing about owning a business that is really cool is that working in corporate did really help a lot. A lot of the skills that I learned as a program manager, I use now, which is freaking cool. Negotiating, the way that I talk to clients, a lot of the stuff that I learned is transferable, which is super cool. But it's not just exclusive to corporate jobs. Any experience that you have had is really going to help you in your business, whatever it may be. Like, don't think that the things that you have done have been a waste of time. Okay, so that covers business strategy. We covered financial realities, personal development and mindset, business structure and strategy. So next I'm going to jump into marketing and outreach. For the love of God, post your content on TikTok. Oh my gosh, you guys have no idea how many opportunities I have gotten from TikTok just by posting. Brand deals, speaking engagements, events, you call it. And all you have to do is post things that you want to be aligned to. Don't sleep on TikTok. It's pretty much like a Google. I don't know if this is true, but I think it surpassed Google as a number one search engine. That means that people are going to TikTok before they go on Google to search for things. And so you want to be at the top of the list and make sure that you optimize your videos for SEO. Okay. And same for LinkedIn if that is aligned with what you're going for. Honestly, I think I should have been posting on LinkedIn when I was doing tech content because it would have been so useful to get even more opportunities. But you're not too late. Start posting on LinkedIn. Another thing that have found really helpful is to gather feedback and testing for your customers frequently, whether it be through reviews or through messages that you receive or whatever it may be. I think your customers are always going to tell you exactly what you want. And this is something that I learned at Microsoft as a technical account manager, working with customers. Yeah, like they're going to tell you exactly what they don't like. All you have to do is do that relationship building and make them know that you are a safe space to share those things. There's this book that I read about customer service. Let me see what it's called. Oh, yeah. So the book that I read is called The Nordstrom Way, which basically explains the model of Nordstrom and the customer industry and how they were like the very first ones to set that example. Yeah, so that was marketing and outreach, but it included some things from mindset. Okay, the next thing is time management and tools. Y'all, time management is everything. And as a person with ADHD, I want to say that it is something that I'm still working on. As you may know, time is your biggest and best resource, especially if you're young. and you need to learn how to value your time. And I think it's just a natural skill that you attain with time. I use a lot of AI tools. One of my favorites, it's Fathom. So basically, it's like an AI note taker that you invite to every meeting and it takes notes for you and it does action items and it sends an email after the meeting so that you can share with that person. Another tool that I use is Descript. I use it to edit all my podcasts and videos, and it's so good and so easy to edit everything. Another tool that I use is ChatGPT to learn. I will literally sit there with the voice option and have full on conversations, and it is cool. You're talking to an expert in literally whatever you want. I also use AI tools for like mindset stuff, actually. I do have a coach that I talk to on a biweekly basis, but I also use this app called Plural, which is launched by a person that I admire so much. His name is Pavel Martinez. He is a Latino out of New York. And the app basically is like a journaling app where you input like how you're feeling, and it'll basically like, it will extract the things that you're experiencing in a very tangible way. And it has really helped me with my mindset. But anyway, I was talking about time management. So I use Google Calendar. I use Notion, I use Excel, I use a whole bunch of tools. And if you guys want me to do a specific video or podcast about tools that I use, I'd be more than happy to. So yeah, so anyway, just wanted to touch briefly on that. Another thing about time management and tools is that like I already mentioned, your personal time is kind of meshed with your business. Like you are flowing together, right? There is no separation because it's not like before where you can just clock out. You're still thinking about it even later on in your day. And I much rather be thinking about something that I'm building other than someone else. But yeah. Another thing is that procrastination will continue to get the best of you if you have the bad habits that you had in your personal life. And I think a thing that I struggle with a lot is to start with the thing that I perceive to be the most difficult, because if I keep putting it off, it will not get done ever, you know? So yeah. And then the last thing that I want to touch on is continuous learning and networking. Yes, take the time to learn proactively and invest in courses, invest in conferences, and invest in stuff like that. But also find creators that you find useful in relationship to your niche and business so that you don't have to like go searching for that content. It's automatically in your feed and it's productive. So just keep that in mind. There's some people passing by and they're watching me record my video. Maybe one day they'll find this video. So that's funny because I'm in front of a window. Okay, continuous learning and networking. Another thing I would suggest that I haven't personally done, but I would suggest talking to people every week. Talking to new people every week. Like meet people that are doing things like you, invite them to coffee chats, connect with them. I think it really helps you be set up in the same environment as people that are doing similar things and helps you keep you accountable. Accountability is such a huge thing, guys. It's hard to keep yourself accountable, especially when you're working for yourself. And also when you're driven by purpose and good things other than urgency and survival. So talk to people. I think it helps a lot in that area. The last thing is to educate yourself with free info. Like watch YouTube videos, read books. I mean, I guess books are not free, but just educate yourself. You don't have to invest heavily necessarily to learn new things. It's just a matter of you being interested and just setting that time apart. Okay. So we covered lots of things in this podcast, which are some of the lessons that I learned in my first year of entrepreneurship or things that I wish that I knew. And we went from financial realities and understanding the basics of finances. There's this book called that I haven't read actually, but I am going to read. It's called Pay Yourself First, and it talks about how to manage your finances as a small business. And from what I watched in the video, it is very helpful. So that's the book that they recommend every single small business owner to read. So I'm going to recommend it to you. And even if I haven't read it, but I am going to read it. So we covered basically the finances. We covered some of the personal development and mindset. We covered business structure and strategy. We covered marketing and outreach. And we covered time management and tools and continuous learning and networking. I tried to make this as structured as I could. So pardon me if it wasn't. I hope that you were able to take away at least one thing or reassure you with something. And if you want me to do a full episode in one of these things, just please DM me at empowermente.co. And thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you listening to me. And I really hope that you enjoy our time together. And if you like and enjoyed this episode, please rate it in wherever you listen to your podcast, whether it be YouTube, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, or give me a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you so much y se cuidan mucho.